Hi, in this video I'm going to show you the process of adding synthesizers or MIDI controllers to the MIDI Goblin. After you do this, you'll be able to save patches for those devices. But first, some quick information about the Kickstarter launch. The launch date is April the 30th. The price of the MIDI Goblin is still being determined, but you can expect it to be around $60 to $80 US. With that out of the way, let's begin. The first thing you're going to want to do is take your micro SD card out of the MIDI Goblin. After you have your micro SD card out, plug it into your computer. If you don't have a micro SD slot, just use a USB dongle. They're really cheap and they're super useful. Once you've got that plugged in, you're going to create a new folder on the micro SD card. The name of this folder is going to be the name of your device. There's only two rules for naming this folder. One, it has to be 10 characters or less in length. And two, no special characters like star or slash or period or blank spaces. Underscore and dash symbols work just fine though. After you've done that, make 3 more folders inside of that device folder. The first one's going to be called patches, the second one's going to be called config, and the last one's going to be called remaps. Make sure that you write the names of these folders in capital letters. Once you've created these folders, you're going to need to create 2 text files in the config folder on the SD card. The first one's going to be called cc names, and the other one's going to be called cc nums. CC nums will simply be a list of the control change parameters your synth or MIDI controller sends. CC names will be the names of those parameters. Editor's note: parameter names must be 14 characters or shorter. You just need to make sure that you write both lists in the same order. If your synth uses nrpn messages instead of MIDI CC messages for control change parameters, simply write nrpn space most significant bit space least significant bit for each parameter. And remember to name those parameters in the CC names file. After that, you're done. Just put your micro SD card back in the MIDI Goblin and your device will be listed and it'll be ready to save patches for those parameters. With that being said, the MIDI Goblin can only save values for parameters that it's received. In other words, if your synth doesn't dump its parameters upon startup, the MIDI Goblin won't have any way of knowing what those values are. You have to transmit them to it. Meaning, simply wiggle your sliders, knobs, switches, and buttons to initiate the values on the MIDI Goblin. After that, it'll be synced up. The Yamaha Reface series doesn't have this problem. It transmits those MIDI messages automatically when it starts up. If you had to reinitiate all these values every time you started up your synth, it would be really annoying. But thankfully, you really only have to do it once. All you need to do is initiate those values once and save it as a file called template. From then on, just load the template file. Any changes you make to the synth will be tracked by the MIDI Goblin, and any patch you want to save will be saved. It seems mildly complicated, but it does work really well. And that's it for this video. Please follow us here on YouTube, or on Facebook, or Instagram. There we'll be posting more information regarding new features for the MIDI Goblin. Don't forget to go to midigoblin.com. There's a lot more information there, and you can sign up for the email list. We'll send you a reminder email when the Kickstarter is about to launch, and we'll also include a list of all the new features that we've added in the meantime. There's a bunch. And on that note, have a good day.